Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Remember in the 1960s, people took acid to make the world weird. Now the world is weird, and people take Prozac to make it normal. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Thank you. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and, of course, our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. Lovely lady over at our studios, and we say good morning to Gina Jameson.
Well, good morning, sunshine, and happy Monday to you.
I don't know about that. I have mixed emotions about your enthusiasm about it being a happy Monday.
Well, just know that it's all facetious, and I'm not as happy to be here just as much as you are.
Gina, that's what I like about you, your honesty, because you're not gonna lie about something. You're not going to try to flower it all up. You're very blunt and honest. And right now this morning, I think both of us, I could easily say, thank you very much, and go back to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I would really love to go back to bed. It was a very active weekend. But here we are.
That's right. And do we have the smiling face of a pledger?
We do. We have Mr. Al on for the pledge and Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very well done. Good morning, Mr. Smiling Face.
Oh, good morning to you, and just thank God you're still alive to be enjoying this lovely day.
I know, I shouldn't be, but I'm stiff, and I'm tired, and I'm sore, and I'm sunburned, and I hurt, and so I'm going to complain a little bit. But you're right, we are breathing our fresh air. Good morning, Al. Give us the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See, in just less than 20 seconds, you changed my whole attitude. I feel blessed. I feel absolutely great that you called in. Good morning, Mr. Butler. It's so good to hear from you.
Okay, I'll send you the bill. It'll be 2 aspirins and see me in the morning.
Believe me, Al, I take the 2 aspirins, but I don't want to see you in the morning.
Behave yourself.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Oh, I feel better already. I love those people. Oh, my goodness, it's time for the weather, and it's brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. I'll tell you, 678-6945, where your home design needs are aisles apart, not miles apart, with Kyle and Whitney Cheney, and they are the best. We're going to have more about them in just a moment, but right now, here's the world's best weatherman, Michael Rogers Weather.
So you don't want to be at work today, huh? On this Monday? Am I correct in you saying that?
Well, there's other places perhaps I would rather be, Michael.
Okay. All right. I get that. I haven't been to bed. I've been watching the sun never set. I just got down from the Arctic Circle. So we had about 21 hours and change of daylight. You had about 15 on Saturday. So now the good news is it's summertime, folks. And it's a Monday, and if you don't want to go to work, guess what? It's still summertime. The bad news is you're going to be losing daylight all the way to December 21st, and that's the first day of winter. Other than that, you're a sunny day whether you want to be to work or not. You can see a high of 87, overnight low of 50. You're going to see that for much of today and also for tomorrow. Other than that, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. The best weatherman in the world, MichaelRogersWeather.com. God bless you. Thank you so much. Brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Hardwood, laminates, vinyl sheeting, natural stone, Oakley stone. Beautify your home. All the countertops. Oh, my, they can meet or beat any price on flooring. And free in-house consultations, too. From Kyle and Whitney Cheney of Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Couple of reminders. Let's see. Jerome County Fair team roping Wednesday night. My buddy Dave Zanino, his lovely wife Dawn, and it's going to start at 6:30 with a sign-up. Rope at 7. Wednesday night summer series. Dave, would appreciate if you have any questions. Give him a call, 431-1263. There you go. And also, coming up, let's see, on the... Is it this next weekend already? Yes, it is. It's next Saturday, this coming Saturday, June 28th, the Iron Kilt Festival. You gotta be a tough cookie to wear a iron kilt. Anyway, we won't pursue that any further, and it's going to be at the South Freedom Park in Idaho, Army, National Guard Army, right there in Burley, and that's the first annual Iron Kilt Festival coming up this next Saturday. Going to be a lot of fun. Daryl's Cleaners, busy. I've got some more clothes to take over there, so they're going to be busier. And don't forget those prepaid gift cards like I've been telling you. What a great gift to give somebody. Walk up to them and look at their clothes and say, you need a Daryl's Cleaners gift card. Maybe that's not the best approach, but you could give your friends and your relatives. Those are nice gifts. Prepaid gift cards to get their clothes all cleaned and get rid of the rumply crumplies. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see the best today. Daryl's Cleaners. And two, I want to remind you about our friends at SafeLink Internet. Oh, man, 16 years and counting of serving you. That's offering the fastest, reliable Internet, and they've got a track record to prove it, too. I'll tell you what, they are the best. And their website, go to their website, SafeLinkInternet.com, but get on their program. Call 677-8000. 677-8000, Idaho's number one choice, SafeLink Internet. Absolutely the best. All right, it's turn now. It's turn now? No, it's time now to give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, did you hear that story about that couple? Are you right there by your microphone?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Did you hear about that couple that was out boating 7 miles off the coast, and neither of them had a life jacket on? And this is kind of a weird story. Both of them all of a sudden got thrown out of the boat, and the boat kept going, and they had to tread water in the ocean for 14 hours, and finally a boat spotted them.
I actually heard that story, and the people on the boat that actually spotted them and originally thought that it was just fish jumping in the water. And when they got closer, they saw that it was a man and his wife, and so they rescued him. And hypothermia and a couple, jellyfish bites?
Yeah, but that's not the point. I stress to people, no matter if you're going to the lake, the river, whatever, wear life jackets. And I hear these people say, well, I'm a good swimmer, I don't need a life jacket. That is as bogus as a $3 bill.
A good swimmer to swim for 14 hours? I'm not.
Yeah, and I am an excellent swimmer. As a matter of fact, I'm bragging a little bit here, but in some of my competitions, I did very well and set some records. But you know what? You don't take chances like that, especially 7 miles off the coast of the United States in a small boat, and you get both of you, the husband and wife, pitched out of the boat. They're just very lucky and blessed by God that they were able to tread water and somebody found them.
Amen, because it could have been a lot longer. So thankfully they are okay, and hopefully they learned the lesson. Always wear your life vest.
Amen. I mean, I just couldn't believe this. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a tip of the coffee cup. And our tip of the coffee cup this morning goes to Brenda Adams and one of my buddies, Russell Smith, along with Jerry and Rose Voss. So, Gina, if you would, please.
That is so good.
There you go. Tip of the coffee cup to those folks, and I hope they have a great day. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. And your air conditioner, Gina can tell you, Michael can tell you, today's going to be a warm day. And you're probably going to sit there and go, I wish I sure would have put a new filter in my air conditioner. Well, do it. Stop over to Ramsey Heating and Electric and put a new filter in so it runs cleanly and efficiently, okay? Ramsey Heating and Electric for all your electrical needs. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really nice people. Oh, my goodness sakes, despicable. This is something else I want Gina to chime in on. Gina, you always manage to catch a lot of the news. Did you see that robber hit that pregnant woman?
I did not.
Oh, there is no punishment for this guy that would be, I think, harsh enough. He walks into a store. This black guy walks into a store, and he's going to hold the place up, and it's one of those like a phone store, you know, where you got all the different equipment, you got everything like this, and sitting behind the desk is a pregnant lady, and she says, you know, basically, can I help you? And she stands up, and this guy sucker punches her right in the jaw. I mean, he just pile drives her into the corner by her desk, breaks her nose in two different places, and she's laying there on the floor, and he walks over and nonchalantly stands over top of her, and it's all caught on video, and empties out what little cash there is in the drawer, and she's trying to get up, blood running all over and everything, and he kind of kicks her as he walks by and walks out of the store. Now, is that what our society's coming to? And there is nothing that I can think of as a more harsh penalty. But she is like, I think they said 7 months pregnant. My goodness, Gina, what's this world coming to?
I have no idea, but I don't think that guy's going to be treated very kindly in his jail cell.
Yeah, and so be it. I mean, frontier justice prevails.
Yeah, but, you know, let those of his kind take care of it, because it will happen, and I don't know what our world is coming to. For anybody to punch a pregnant woman is despicable. I mean, honestly.
You know, child molesters and others of that ilk, that filthy, worthless ilk, when they get to prison, it's funny, sometimes they have a hard time staying out of the infirmary. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I am all in favor of frontier justice. But in this case of this guy that was a robber, walks in and sucker punches this pregnant woman, hits her so hard with one punch in the nose, breaks it in two places, and just puts her on the floor. There is nothing that I could do to wish him more ill will than what I'm sure might happen when he gets to the jail.
And I'm sitting here looking at one of the stories, and I'm not able to find where, they're trying to identify the man, so they have not found him yet.
Not yet, no. But, I mean, in broad daylight, he walks in, and she very politely says, may I help you? And she stands up, and, I mean, he just hauls off with a right hook, excuse me, that is absolutely despicable. And how can you do that? I mean, where is any sense of morality, any sense of right and wrong in this country? How can somebody be that hard up to rob for what, 50, 60 bucks or whatever is in the till?
He's looking for his next high.
Yeah, I know, but I'm still having a hard time with this. I can't imagine hitting a pregnant woman.
I can't either, but apparently this guy, just obviously has no morals, and he was so high, probably looking for money for his next high, so he didn't care. Oh. He didn't care who it was. He was just going to go in and take what he wanted and do whatever kind of bodily damage needed so he could get to where he was going.
This next, if the cops get him, honestly, and they find out who this guy is, I certainly hope that when they put the handcuffs on him and his hands are behind the back, maybe they could trip. Oh my goodness, we didn't mean to fall. And I'm so sorry that part of your nose is part of the pavement from now on. Really, there's got to be some retribution here.
There has to be, and I'm completely in agreement with you, and maybe they could just take him into an investigation room with all of the doors closed and the lights and cameras off and just have at it.
Yeah, and what do you mean police brutality? You tripped on the threshold by the door. That's your fault.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. The video camera just wasn't rolling.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the IRS had it.
Touché.
Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, Fair Time's right around the corner. Oh, my gosh, I can't believe it. Fair Time is right around the corner. And for all the 4-H'ers out there, they got all your supplies and all your feed needs. And believe me, I just can't believe how fast the summer is going. They got all the health supplies. They got the Gallagher fencing. They've got everything for you at Valley White Home and Ranch. All the clothes, all the boots, great selection of boots. So stop in today. See Steve and Mandy and the rest of the folks at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Really, really nice people. Also want to acknowledge, and I want to talk a little bit about this in a minute. We were over at Denny's restaurant the other day for lunch bunch, and it was, I just can't believe how good it is. I mean, I had kind of a breakfast special. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. And I had a breakfast special that was just absolutely phenomenal at Denny's restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley. And I'm stressing the fact that you need to get in there and enjoy food with your family and your friends, and maybe give somebody a gift card. My goodness, someone you love is hungry for Denny's restaurant, and you're going to love the food. The service is outstanding. Thomas and the rest of the crew, Terry, wonderful, wonderful people at Denny's restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, the home of Zeb's lunch bunch. Bit my tongue. And we suggest you get into Denny's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. By the way, I took my petition over to Denny's restaurant last week for lunch bunch. And by the way, I want to just read you what I had put on the headline. And a lot of people say, well, a lot of good that great big long petition's going to do you against Obama. Well, maybe not. But it makes me feel good. It made me feel good because I'm going to be turning in all these names with a copy of this petition to both Crapo and Simpson to let them know what their constituents think of this very sleazy presidency. The petition reads as follows, and by the way, Joe Taylor's got a copy of this petition too, and he's sending it out for people to sign. We the people, citizens of the United States of America, demand that Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States, be removed from office for the following reasons: crimes against the U.S. Constitution, dereliction of duty as President, gross negligence to serve the citizens of the United States, perpetrating lies and fraudulent actions to the citizens of the United States, and displaying complete incompetence to and for the safety of the United States. We, the undersigned, want and demand the impeachment and removal from office of President Barack Hussein Obama. And it took like 5 minutes to fill up this petition. People are unhappy. People are just absolutely disgusted with this presidency. And now, you're not going to believe this, but now the Obama administration, as part of their continuing effort to really push cap and trade and push climate change and really stop us or hurt us from using fossil fuels, gee, how are we going to get to our jobs? Gee, how are farmers going to farm their crops and harvest in the fall? Gee, what's going to happen to this nation if we rely solely on green energy? It's going to be alles kaput. Now the Obama administration, and they're going to be starting this down in Berkeley, California. Boy, that's a fitting place to start this. At the gas pumps in Berkeley, California, they're putting a little sticker on the gas pumps that basically warns you that if you burn fossil fuels, you're doing it at your own risk. I mean, this is so childish and so asinine. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning. Where can I get a few copies of that petition to circulate?
From me. I'll get it for you, Rodney. I will. I'll make you a copy, and call me after the program on my cell phone, 312-2976, and I'll make sure I get it to you.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
I'd like to help get that guy out of office.
No, I appreciate that. The more people, the better. Just to show, Rodney, honestly, just to show our leaders, whether it's our senators, our congressmen, whatever, we are not happy campers with what's going on, and we're demanding better results. Thank you. Get a hold of me, and I'll get it to you.
That is an understatement. Not happy campers. Oh, I'm furious at him.
All right. Rod, call me. I'll get it to you. I promise.
Okay, what was the number again?
312-2976.
312-2976.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jindal made an understatement the other day. On Saturday night, he accused President Barack Obama and other Democrats of waging war against religious liberty and education. And listen carefully to what he said. And he said that a rebellion is brewing in the United States with people ready for a hostile takeover of the nation's capital. I don't think truer words have ever been spoken. Last Friday, I made a lot of calls around the heartland of America, many to the Midwest of people that I know, people that are professors in universities, people that are involved in law enforcement, people that are involved in politics. And I am finding out, honestly, that we are seeing a bubbling, a tumultuous bubbling that is just below the surface, and people are absolutely outraged as to how they're being treated by this government. Jindal went on to say, quote, "I can sense right now a rebellion brewing amongst these United States, where people are ready for a hostile takeover of Washington, D.C. to preserve the American dream for our children and our grandchildren," unquote. Wow. Very powerful, and very true. Very true. I don't care where you go, who you talk to, what happens. People are upset and absolutely are ready to storm the White House with pitchforks and throw this man out. And I, for one, am in total agreement. This administration is absolutely, it's over the limit. And what are they doing? I mean, whether it's the IRS scandal, whether it's Benghazi, whether it's Fast and Furious, whatever the scandal is, Obama is not doing the job. Absolutely not doing the job. And I'll give you, for instance, before we go to the Capitol Press Ag Minute. Obama met with the Mexican president this weekend. And there was no demand to release the Marine that's being held after he inadvertently crossed the border. None. Where is the outrage? By the way, where is the outrage about Pastor Abedini? These folks are doing nothing. Now, I'm going to be very blunt here. When they gave up 5 Muslim terrorist killers for Bo Bergdahl, that was the end and the icing on the cake for me. Now, I'm going to take a lot of criticism, but I'll tell you what, folks, there's a lot more to this Bergdahl story than what meets the eye and what we're being told. And quite frankly, this administration is doing, quote-unquote, a lot of whitewashing. Caller, be patient. Don't go away. I've got to have the Capitol Press Ag Minute. I'll be right there. Stand by. Go ahead, Gina, please.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capitol Press, the West Ag Weekly. Visiting Europe last week, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack made the U.S. case on disputed issues in farm trade, a perennial hot-button topic in transatlantic relations. The Obama administration and European Union are negotiating a new trade and investment pact.
Vilsack said it's hard to imagine any deal being approved by the U.S. or EU that doesn't include agriculture. The U.S. wants European authorities to allow genetically modified crops and food processing techniques, including the use of chlorinated rinses to process poultry carcasses. Vilsack said that if sound science shows such practices are safe, European consumers should have the option of purchasing the food that results. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Don't forget Snyder's Surplus. Oh, we were so blessed to be over there for their grand opening. These are wonderful, wonderful people at 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Snyder's Surplus. They've got everything over there. Come on in and see their new store, new merchandise, and very friendly service. Believe me, they've got everything you're looking for, and a lot of the stuff you're not looking for, but it's there. Not just a military surplus store. They have everything at Snyder's Surplus. Grand opening prices are going on right now at 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Governor Jindal also come hard against Common Core, which is the state of Idaho accepted and put into place.
Absolutely.
And I've been against it. It's a federal mandated education system where they teach the children many ways to solve a math problem. I don't think they need to have lots of ways, like 3 or 4 ways to figure out a math problem. I never needed 3 or 4 ways to figure out a math problem. And here it's a federal problem. And here the state of Idaho was one of the first to accept that federal program.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Fred. What I've read about Common Core, what I understand about Common Core, I'm against Common Core. And I have talked to many people all across the country. From Indiana, I've had people on this program. I've had people from various other parts of the country, including one of the most notable sources, Kyle Olson with EAGnews.org, that has written a book with Glenn Beck against Common Core. And they seem to know what they're talking about. And quite frankly, Bobby Jindal said this: the federal government has no role, no right, and no place dictating standards in our local schools across the 50 states of the United States of America, and Jindal is right.
He's right, definitely. Yeah, I read that where he said that, and he's definitely right. I think he's a good governor.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, Fred, and give me a short answer on this so I can get some other people in here too. What about the statement that he made that Americans are angry and ready for a hostile takeover of the country?
I think he's dead right.
And quite frankly, I hope he's dead right.
I do too. I know the people I talk to out here, of course, we're different than the people back east, New Yorkers and all of that. Most of them are on welfare, or a lot of them are. But out here, we're ready for a change, a big change. We're ready for a takeover.
Well, Fred, look at, in your lifetime, how things have changed from way back post-World War II until the Vietnam era, and now today. Look at what's changed to take our freedoms away and be more dictatorial and completely in control right from the hub of the federal government, and that's not the way it was intended to be.
Definitely not. I remember back World War II, pre-World War II, when we really had freedom. We had some leaders back there. 2 great Democratic leaders pulled us through World War II. When times were tough. And that was President Roosevelt and Harry Truman.
I agree with you.
And they were more conservative than the Republicans are today.
Absolutely. Fred, I appreciate your call as always. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Thank you. I admire Bobby Jindal for saying something that many people are saying, oh my goodness, that's a political tinderbox that's going to build into a fire against him. But no, the truth is the truth. Americans are angry, and American taxpayers have had enough. And I know for one thing that we are right now. I know many people, and why cover this up? I know many people that are ready for, quote-unquote, a hostile takeover of this government because they're not being served. And besides that, the government is absolutely not doing the job at all, period. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. And Eli and Nick, the whole crew working for you and with you at Barry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations on Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, man, they got all the Coyote tractors. They got Coyotes all over the place. And, boy, they've got the Bobcat excavators, too. And they got those big Doosan loaders and excavators. Oh, you talk about do the job. You get in there and talk to them about leasing or buying the equipment you need at Barry Equipment and Rental. Addison Avenue in Twin, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, dear. Looks like our 10 o'clock. Try to get with, Deanne, if you could, try to get with that Charlie back east and demand that we get somebody at 10:06. Would you please? Hey, don't forget the Silver State Stampede, Nevada's oldest rodeo. The Silver State Stampede heads into Elko on July 10 and 11. That's just coming up around the corner, 10, 11, and 12. Pardon me, I forgot the 12th. And, boy, the fun is going to heat up on Thursday night the 10th with their annual kickoff party and, the big Western Trade Show. That is the fanciest trade show of all the items, cowboy items, that you could ever want to find. And then, of course, on the 11th and 12th, big PRCA rodeo, Ring of Fear and dancing. Oh, my, fun times at the Silver State Stampede in Elko, Nevada at the Elko County Fairgrounds. Don't you miss it. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hold on to your billfold and money clip. Look out, look out. A Shell Oil executive, maybe you folks heard this, said this past weekend that because of the Iraqi situation, and what you know is bogus, you know this is bogus. It's just a way to get prices extremely out of whack and shove them way up into the sky on oil. A Shell Oil executive said this past weekend that we can look for 50 cents to $1 a gallon higher in fuel by the 1st of August. Wow. I don't know about you, but right now I'm over my budget. I am way over my budget, and I get to the point where I'm so frustrated and so mad when I hear these stupid, and they are, stupid people say, well, why don't you get rid of that big truck and buy yourself a smaller vehicle? Well, first of all, ye who has little common sense and the brain the size of a pea, that big truck is paid for. And secondarily, I don't want to go and buy a new outfit and pay not only the higher fuel costs, but also pay a new monthly rate that at my age I don't want to absorb. And I'm absolutely sick. And 50 cents to $1 higher by August, all they're doing is just ripping us off during the heavy driving season. You can bet on it. You can bet on it. And it's Obama's way of implementing the higher prices, like Stephen Chu, his former energy secretary, wanted. Well, we've got to get up to the standards of Europe to where they're paying $8 to $10 a gallon. And it's nothing more than another ploy to push, in the remaining years of his terms, green energy, and really push it hard. I am very concerned. I am very concerned as to what's going to happen to many, many businesses. I am very, very concerned as to what's going to happen to our economy. And yes, on a selfish note, I'm very concerned as to what's going to happen to me and my business and my family. This cannot be absorbed. I mean, you're talking about it. That's nothing more than a tax. An increase in taxes that is going to absolutely put us right up against the ropes. What are your thoughts on this? They're preconditioning us for a huge raise in gas prices and sticker shock of driving down the road and seeing the big $5 a gallon on diesel and gasoline. What are your thoughts? We as Americans, we need a transition in thinking. We need to get rid of Obama. I don't care if you like that or not. We need to get rid of Obama. Should have never had him in the first place. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You know, and NASA just come out and said that it was one of the hottest year Mays on record. And I can tell you, NASA's been totally compromised with that James Hansen down there.
Yes.
They're fudging the figures, and like you say, what you've been saying here, they're just trying to. The bottom line is they're destroying the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
They don't put it bluntly.
You know,
that's exactly what they're doing.
Adrian, I've got program sheets, and I'm so glad you brought this up. About May, we were complaining about how cold and cool the weather patterns were in May. And we had different stories on about the coolness and the absolute disregard for the truth that this government had, saying that we were going into a much warmer heating area and everything else. And May was expensively cool all across the United States, and then they come out and said it was the hottest May on record. They lied to us.
Oh, absolutely. They got to be. I mean, when I read that little clip in the paper, I thought, you got to be kidding. You know, I've got friends and do business back east, and, you know, I mean, and of course the rain and everything, all these storms and stuff, but it's just incredible. Ice is building up in both the Arctic and Antarctica, and, you know, they're lying to us about that. I mean, we can't trust these people. Say NASA has been totally, it no longer is a space agency. It's basically a propaganda for environmentalism.
Well, somebody said to me the other day, Adrian, now wait a minute, you got to be really careful about calling this administration and the president a liar. And I looked at that person and I said, wait a minute, why? If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. And if Obama's lying, which he's lied many, many times over various circumstances, why not call the man what he is? Obama's a liar.
Well, yeah, if he was Pinocchio, can you imagine how long his nose would be and how big the bird nest would be?
What does it take, really? What does it take? Let me ask you this question quickly. What does it take for the American public to forget their gullibility and their naivete when Obama made over 27 speeches regarding Obamacare that we could keep our own doctor and we could keep our own health plan? They knew that was a lie, but when you say that Obama lied, everybody starts throwing their hands up in the air and saying you can't call the president a liar. Why not?
Well, you know, we got this myth out there that, we have to support the president regardless of what he does. Well, Teddy Roosevelt said it best, and is that the fact that we support the president in so much as he supports the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
And I would give Obama a 0 out of 100 on supporting the Constitution.
He is trying to take it away from us. And I've said in my petition, I said quite frankly, that dereliction of duty as president and crimes against the United States Constitution are a couple of the reasons why I had that petition drawn up, Adrian.
Absolutely. Well, it's incredible, but when you see the number of people that just on the morning news today where they said that, I forget, this felon someplace, he's supposedly a handsome guy, I guess, or something, he got all these likes of this guy that burglarizes. He's got a rap sheet that's longer than your arm, and people, if they're on that social media all the time looking at this kind of garbage and they're not paying attention to protecting our freedom, God help us.
There we go. I got to run, Adrian. Thank you so much. The next caller that's in line, stay on the line. I'll be right with you. I've got to do a real quick weather forecast. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley with my buddy Gentle Ben and Leslie and the whole crew. Oh, my goodness. Summer's here. Update your windows before the cold weather comes back. And if you have older windows without storm windows, get them at Burley Glass. They're working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. They are the best. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Summertime, in case you're keeping score at home. That's good news, and sometimes not so good news. The good news is going to be sunny and hot, like a high of 87 today. The bad news is that we start to lose daylight, and we'll continue to do that until December 21st, and then we'll start to regain it back. Keep the score at home December 21st, first day of winter. Other than that, not a bad day in the Magic Valley to start out the work week. When you had solstice on Saturday, you folks down there had about 15 hours and change. Up here in Alaska, we had 21 hours, 49 minutes. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only way you got.
I'll tell you what, Burley Glass with my buddy Gentle Ben and the crew, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, Burley Glass, serving you, bringing you the Michael Rogers weather for this hour. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, being that Keystone was put on hold, Canada is going to start shipping their oil to China.
Yep.
So, which means Barack Obama is deliberately creating a shortage here. So, gasoline at $5 and $6 a gallon will be garnishing more taxes to support the welfare system in this country. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're not getting Keystone.
I despise this administration. I do, because of the way they're hurting the American public, the way they're hurting me. Quite frankly, they're hurting me. And when I'm hurt for no necessary reason, and I have a bunch of politicians that are doing some insane things to bring America down, why shouldn't I call what it is? This president needs to be replaced and impeached.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen in the near future. I think we're going to have to suffer through this guy because he's got so much support from the left and from foreign countries that don't want to see him out of office.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something, Tony. If Hillary is by many in the media a foregone conclusion, we're all in deeper doo-doo than we are now, I think.
That gives me gas pain just to think about it.
Oh, Tony, God bless you. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Oh, my. Hey, don't forget, 4th of July celebration over in Rupert is a ripping good time. And there's a couple of businesses I want to talk about that say, hey, Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, next door to the Idaho Youth Ranch. Oh, now's the time to order your parade banners for the big parade. And if you mention my name, Zeb Bell, they'll give you an extra 15% off your banner order for the parades. Oh, yes. Grand opening during the week of the 4th of July celebration at their new location of Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a great business. What nice people. I'll tell you what, at Mad River Laser. Along with Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. They're just off the square, and they've got all your flooring needs, too. Don't forget carpet, hardwood, everything and all the carpet you could possibly look for, along with professional installation for over 35 years of experience. Family owned and operated since 2005, Magic Valley Carpet, along with Mad River Laser, great businesses in Rupert for the 4th of July celebration. All right, give us a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, I really salute Bobby Jindal. And one headline in the paper said, Rebellion Brewing. And boy, I think he's right. He had another part of the quote that I want to read to you. Are we witnessing, and think about what he said here, are we witnessing right now the most radically, extremely liberal, ideological president of our entire lifetime right here in the United States of America? Or are we witnessing the most incompetent president of the United States of America in the history of our lifetimes? How would you answer that? Are we witnessing the most extremely radical, or perhaps the dumbest. Let's simplify it, shall we? And tell it like it is. Give me a call and let me know what you think. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. Let's see what else have I got here. Obama did not make any demands, I said, to the Mexican president. The Marine is still in captivity in jail down in Mexican prison, and nothing's been done about Pastor Abedini. That's part of my outrage. That is part of my outrage. That we released 5 Muslim terrorist killers for a deserter. Now, I know there's people out in the audience that are going to go, well, he hasn't even gone to court or trial or anything else yet. Wait a minute. Tell me that the evidence isn't stacked up right now, not only by his superiors, but by the people that served him, with him over in Afghanistan. That Bo Bergdahl walked away from his post. Walked away from his post. And I'm going to say this, and a lot of people probably will get mad. That's your prerogative. I honestly think the White House needs to whitewash that situation as much as possible. I think there's going to be arm twisting when it comes to looking into this case. I think the White House absolutely is going to come out smelling like a rose for what they did in releasing 5 terrorist Muslim killers for Bergdahl. And I think this is going to be another shameful act of this administration. I'll stand behind that. I got broad shoulders. I'll stand behind it. Oh, by the way, Gina, I've got a story here that you will not believe. Quickly, I've got to get this in. Are you right by your microphone?
I am.
All right.
I had a phone call. Jerry Voss is on the line.
Okay, well, I just wanted to have you mull this. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is a mull, okay? It shows how absolutely ridiculous and dumb we are right now in this country. A Illinois University, one of the universities in the state of Illinois, is actually going to treat video gaming as a sport, and they're going to offer scholarships.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Since when did...
It just came out last weekend that I'm trying to remember the name of the university. It's a small university in Illinois, and they actually are going to start treating video gaming, with your thumb, as a sport and offer scholarships on video gaming.
Huh. Brother, if you're listening, look into that.
I'll be right back. Jerry, good morning. Quickly, you're on the air. I've only got a short time.
Yep, good morning. Both your statements are true there. The only part I disagree with you on is that Obama is stupid. Anybody that can go through a scandal every week for 6 years and get by with it can't be too dumb.
Well, wait a minute. I gave an or there. Don't say it that way, Jerry. I said he's either a very radical extremist or he's dumb. I gave you the option to pick and choose.
Okay, and I'd say he's a danged extremist.
All right, I agree with you.
I think he's a Muslim, and I think he is very staunch on his views of wanting to destroy and do away with America.
I totally agree with you. That's why I put the or in there, and there's no doubt about it. I don't like this man. I never have liked his ideology. I have nothing to do with him. I wish that we had never heard or seen him as a possible contender for the presidency, but we're stuck with him, and I'm going to do all I can to show my disdain.
Well, and I agree with you 100% on that. And I'm afraid we're going to have him till the end of the term.
Well,
and America would have been far, far, far better off.
Absolutely.
With somebody that wasn't a radical and who hated America.
Well, Jerry, I'll tell you like this: we'd have been further ahead with the Democratic logo in office than the real thing of Obama. You're quiet. Why?
Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
What is the logo of the Democratic Party, Jerry?
Well, they're mostly socialist.
No. What's the logo, Jerry? What's the logo? It's a jackass, is it not?
a donkey, a jackass.
All right, we'd have been further ahead with that in the office than we would be with Obama.
I agree with you.
All right, Jerry, God bless. Take care.
I better get off. You have a wonderful day there. May the Lord bless.
All right, thank you. I didn't mean to have that go over their head. Let's give a nice shout out to our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Just nice people. Nice people that really care. And I mean care, and the service is supreme. 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. That's right. They care about your safety and all the different tread designs for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever you need tires for. And, of course, free peace of mind tire protection and free lifetime tire and mileage care. Along with the best in brake service, the best in, of course, shocks and struts, front end alignments, batteries, whatever. But service, you will not find anybody that takes better care of you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pauline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Next hour, we're going to have Frosty Woldridge on, and I cannot wait to talk to him about this mess on the border. Texas is estimating that they're going to have 90,000 kids coming in across the border before this mess is stopped by the federal government. And then at 9:30, ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom, we're going to have Katie Fedoric on. And then at 10:06, this is where the plot thickens. We had a guest all lined up and everything else, and I don't know what happened to them. And so we're going to wait and see what happens at 10 o'clock. And then at 10:30 this morning, don't forget, former CIA operative Brian Fairchild. Ooh, this will be interesting. Very dear friend of ours. And he's going to be on the air at 10:30. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 6. Oh, busy times. Thank goodness I've got Deanne and Gina working with us this morning to get everything all taken care of. Thank you very much. Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and they know you got a lot of outside activities going on this summer. And don't forget, whether it's a family picnic, a party, a reunion, whatever, you might need the porta potties. Well, they've got them for you at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And don't forget to sign up for the weekly trash collection on their route service, 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Great people to work with, Western Waste Services. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, every Thursday we have Gardening for Idiots, named after me, and that's, of course, sponsored by Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. The lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. That's at 9:12 on Thursdays on Zeb at the Ranch. And don't forget, too, our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, Joel Heward. Oh, these folks just really take a lot of effort in serving you and your family. Please remember that if you can't drive in and visit with them at the chapel, they can make arrangements to come see you and make sure that they have flexible hours to serve you, and they're there when you need them. Please call them at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636, with Joel Heward, owner-manager at Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. There is so much going on this morning, and the news, this administration, I cannot fathom how this administration and Barack Obama and their insidious immigration reform plans that they're trying to push on us. This man that I'm going to introduce you to has been spot on. He has been right from the get-go for years. Frosty Woldridge, I commend you. You saw this tsunami of people coming in, and people wouldn't listen to you, and now it's getting worse day by day.
Well, it certainly is, and good morning, Zeb, and good morning to each one of you listening to Zeb at the Ranch, because you're really getting the information that's really happening across this country right now. As a matter of fact, if you go to freedomsphoenix.com, I just wrote a scathing commentary, and it's titled, "I think we are looking at a failed presidency." And that title is not by me. As a matter of fact, on the television news anchor and commentator, Britt Hume said, and I quote, "I think we are looking at a failed presidency." And in the Washington Post this weekend, the conservative writer, columnist George Will, whom you've all read, wrote a piece, "Stopping a Lawless President." Zeb, these are top people in Washington. They are in the know, and I simply took what they said. I quoted it as a title for the commentary, and I simply back it up with the facts as they are. And yes, this is what is happening to us right now. I have predicted it for well over 10, 15 years now, and now we're in the middle of it, and I don't think we may not get out of this thing because it's becoming so overwhelming. I've actually had several ICE agents and Border Patrol people contact me telling me how bad this thing is right now, Zeb.
Frosty, I can't even begin to understand the magnitude of this problem. I was listening this morning at 4:30 to a report about Texas is estimating, and they had a Texas county sheriff that has his county on the border. He's estimating that we're going to be seeing 90,000 kids minimal, 90,000 kids come across right there into his area of Texas. They don't know what they're going to do with them. They don't know how they're going to take care of them. They don't have the money. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the food. They don't have the services. But now here's where I'm getting scared, and you again predicted this. The federal government is starting to manipulate these kids as to where they're going, load them on airplanes, and they're moving them even up onto the East Coast in Massachusetts. And a big fear that a doctor had this morning is that many of them have tuberculosis. Many have not had their vaccinations. Many of them have been exposed to dengue fever along with polio and everything else. My gosh, Frosty, what is the stupidity with this?
That's correct. And I want you to understand, the listener and a fellow American, that I wrote about this. They're bringing in Chagas disease. They're bringing in multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, which kills well over 2 million human beings around the globe every year. They're bringing in tapeworms. They're bringing in head lice. And they're not being checked. They're bringing in Hansen's disease, which is leprosy. And we've talked about that in the past. What we're doing is wholesale bringing in all of these immigrants with no idea of the diseases that are within their bodies. And obviously this is a humanitarian crisis, and yet, as I said, America is on course to add 100 million more immigrants in the next 30 years. That's just 3 decades from now. And the dilemma is that your children and my children and our children are at risk, as well as the general populace. One of the things that I know very definitely in my travels around the world on 6 continents is that disease is just endemic to so many of these societies. In India today, Zeb, in India today, this is documented, 1,000 children die of dysentery and or other waterborne diseases and diarrhea every single day of the year.
Oh my.
And it's so bad that they can't solve it. They can't do anything about it because, of course, they're growing by a net gain of 11 million more people every year in India. So you can imagine the onslaught and the ongoing disease ramifications and vectors that creates. And so here we are now injecting the same kind of endemic situation into our own country.
What are we going to do? I mean, we can sit here, and I know you've written books about this, and you are, in my opinion, the most notable authority on this topic, because absolutely I bow at the throne of Frosty Woldridge with his ability and knowledge, and he forecasted this years and years ago, and nobody would listen to him. I know he made overtures to the major networks and so-called major talk show hosts on television, and they wouldn't pay attention to him. I know that he stood in front of governors. I know that he stood in front of legislators and told them this was going to happen, and they, of course, just gave him lip service and then closed the door. What are we going to do? I am so fed up with our Border Patrol having to be nothing more than paid babysitters while the real bad guys are going back and forth across our border. This is idiocy.
And it's going to get worse, as you know, and Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, and all of the people down there that are becoming reception centers for all of these children. What has happened is that Barack Obama and obviously George Bush did not secure our borders, and Barack Obama continued and even has gotten worse, giving amnesty to all these illegal alien children. And so you now have millions of parents in South and Central America know that we're not enforcing our immigration laws, we're not securing our borders, we're not defending ourselves, and they know that their children are going to be brought up here, whatever they and however they can do that, and then we are being forced to care for all of these children. I want you to know, every listener, that all of Mexico right now in the next 36 years will add somewhere between 30 and 35 million more people to Mexico. And there's no way to feed them or water them or care for them. They are going to come north because we are not defending our borders. Barack Obama and the Congress are in violation of Section 4, Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution. That is a fact. They are not defending our borders. They're not defending our country. If I was the governor of each one of those states, I would put the National Guard on outposts every half mile, absolutely every half mile, with detention centers, and make sure that anybody tried to cross the Rio Grande or tried to get into this country, it would be absolutely grab them and toss them back to their own country as fast as their little legs could get onto a bus in handcuffs, and get them back into Mexico, because Mexico is part and parcel of this whole thing, and we are the victims. We are the country of reception, and there is no end to the line, Zeb.
Well, okay, let's call names here on this. Last week, Democratic strategist Kirsten Powers, a bleeding heart liberal, got on television and she condemned anybody that would be against accepting these children. These children are being used as pawns. I'm going to come right out and say it. If you disagree with me, go ahead and tell me. These children are being used as pawns for a bigger reason, a bigger purpose, and that's to get the moms and dads, aunts and uncles, everybody here in the United States as a bigger voting force for the Democratic Party, namely i.e. Obama and his henchmen. This is what it's all about. But these bleeding heart liberals think that we should take 100, 200, 300, 400, 500,000 kids. We should be the cure-all and the panacea for this problem. Frosty, I say enough is enough. We've got to do what you've told us and stop this influx of people coming across the border.
Well, and again, your frustration is deep, your frustration is wide, and your frustration is real. I again ask you, I implore you to join www.capsweb.org. That's capsweb.org and numbersusa.org, NUMBERS USA.org, and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. Those three organizations are your best and virtually at this point one of your few opportunities to collectively empower yourself. The three altogether have something like 2.5 million, almost 3 million members. We need 10 million members. And if you look at any of my editorials and all of my commentaries and all the websites that I write for, whether it's News with Views and BeforeIt'sNews.com and Freedom's Phoenix and Liberty News Online, even OpEdNews.com, I show you what to do. And if you fail to take action, at some point, you or your children will become victims of this unbelievable invasion of America. And the projections are, these are valid projections borne out by the U.S. Census Bureau, the Pew Research Center, and the Fogel-Martin U.S. population projections. We are about to inject 100 million more people into this country from legal immigration. What does that mean? It means that all of our top 25 top most populated cities in America will double in population. And that means New York, for an example, will grow from 8.3 million today to 16.6 million. Los Angeles will go from 10 million to 20 million. And, of course, if this continues, ladies and gentlemen, then we will triple we'll triple that. We will double U.S. population from 300 million today to 625 million within the next 70 years. And no one understands the ramifications of that, but that's like tripling the populations of our top 35 most populated cities. So in other words, New York City would jump from 8.3 million to 24.9 million. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way to water, feed, work, transport, house, employ, medicate, and educate that many people. It simply will turn our country into another struggling third world country, not to mention the unbelievable linguistic chaos, cultural chaos, sociological demise of America, but also in the final analysis, the numbers will just overwhelm our environment, Jeff.
Well, Frosty, I don't know if you caught this story or not, but I featured it in the first hour, and it's the truth. I'm frustrated, and so is Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, and he made the quote, and I agree with him. He says, I can sense right now a rebellion brewing among the United States where people are ready for a hostile takeover of Washington, D.C. to preserve the American dream for our children and grandchildren. I wouldn't mind right now the way this administration is acting in thuggery and like a mafioso. I wouldn't mind a hostile takeover of this government, and I'm being very honest.
Well, it's obvious that we're not going to be able to have a hostile takeover. That's more or less an idealistic thing from Thomas Jefferson. They pulled it off way back in 1776. However, we can have a electoral change by voting in Americans who believe in our Constitution, our laws, our language, our culture, and our way of life. And as I've stated for years, both in Immigration's Unarmed Invasion, Deadly Consequences, my book of 10 years ago, that really reported on the 8 ways to destroy America by the famous Governor Lamb of Colorado, but also my recent one, America on the Brink, the next added 100 million Americans. If we fail to take action, then this will all manifest in this country, and once we add the 100 million immigrants, Zeb, there is no way that we will be able to save ourselves. We simply will sink into the morass of a very contentious third world country with water shortages, with energy shortages, with food shortages. I mean, we already have 1 in 5 American children is in food scarcity right now. Just feedamerica.org, you can see the numbers. It's really quite sobering and actually quite terrifying. Does anyone think that it's going to get better by adding another 100 million people to this country? And, of course, you all know the answer to that.
Well, Frosty, I can't even imagine. I mean, right now I can't imagine. Our economy is in a tailspin. We are looking at an idiotic approach to the problems in this country, and by adding all these people into the infrastructure and the American public right there in Arizona and Texas alone, the people that are residents there are absolutely, they're up to their neck in problems. They don't know where they're going to get the money. They're trying to help. The churches are trying to provide clothes, diapers, etc. for these kids, and the infrastructure down in those areas, they can't house the kids. The Border Patrol, why, my goodness, we hired them to protect our border and watch out for the bad guys, and they're nothing more than babysitters. This is a mockery to the United States of America.
Well, it is, and it's all being driven by Mr. Barack Obama. And I say Mr. because I really don't think that he deserves the word president in front of his name, because he's not serving the Constitution. He's certainly not serving our sovereignty as a sovereign country. He's not respecting states' rights laws, because he sued Alabama. He sued South Carolina. He has sued Arizona when they tried to pass laws to protect themselves from the onslaught of illegal immigration, and he's put them at unbelievable jeopardy. In effect, Mr. Barack Obama is an open borders advocate. He's making sure that happens, and he's not doing anything other than watch the flood of all these refugees. The question you may have to ask yourself: what happens when the refugee flood turns into 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, all coming up through Mexico because they have to get into America just to feed and water and house themselves? How will we survive that? And of course, the answer is, I've seen it in my world travels around the planet on 6 continents. Zeb, we as a civilization will not survive that kind of human onslaught.
Okay.
No matter how much we think we can help these people, there's no end to the line.
Well, let's just project this out a little bit. We only got a couple of minutes left. We've got 2 years left of the Obama administration. And regardless of whether or not Bobby Jindal of Louisiana is right about rebellion against this administration, but 2 years left, I don't see anything changing if someone, and I hope it doesn't happen, I pray it doesn't happen, Hillary Clinton becomes president. All I see is more of the same. How are we going to curb this when we have politicians that don't follow the Constitution?
Well, what that means is that each one of us must dig deep into our hearts and our minds and our souls and our communities, and we must encourage and elect American citizens who will serve the Constitution and serve America and American citizens first. Red, white, black, brown, yellow, it doesn't make any difference. And that's the way that a constitutional republic works. If he's got 2.6 years left, and he is essentially becoming a lame duck president because he is literally not doing anything to serve America and or our Constitution. And a lot of things are coming back up on him right now. They're chasing him down for his phony Social Security number, his back-drafted selective service number, and again, who knows where this guy came from. And we certainly have all his records are sealed. He is getting closer and closer to being discovered or found out by some really top investigators. So he may be a lame duck president all the way through, and all we can do is endure that until an American man or woman rises up. And I think the failure is going to be so great that nobody would elect a Hillary Clinton or any other a Democrat of that ilk because the policies are failing. Socialism fails, and that's what Democrats are all about. You have to understand that Democrats, liberals, progressives are all about socialism, taking care of everybody under the sun rather than having people be responsible, personal accountability and personal responsibility. I mean, it shows you today 48.1 million Americans sitting on their butts, living on food stamps and Section 8 free housing on my taxpayer dollars, on your taxpayer dollars. We have got to get somebody in the Congress and certainly in the presidency that start talking about and working for personal accountability and personal responsibility. Otherwise, we will continue this decline as a civilization, Zeb.
I don't know what to say. I mean, everything you've said this morning is a reiteration of what you've said in your books, in your writings, and on this program, but I just wish people would start paying attention and listening. Frosty, God bless you for being on the program this morning, and thank you for all your thoughts. Thank you for what you're doing. We'll look forward to having you back on next Monday.
Godspeed, my friend.
Take care, Frost. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. He's been right for years, and now it might be too late. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. Yes, sir, Bob. Call them, and they'll give free in-house consultations talking to you about your hardwood floors, laminates, vinyl sheeting, all the beautification of your countertops, natural stone, Oakley stone. They've got all the carpet and cabinets, and their slogan is, where your home design needs are aisles apart, not miles apart. Give them a call, 678-6945. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Hey, it's coming up. It's right around the corner. Rupert's 4th of July celebration with the theme Let Freedom Ring. It's going to be starting on the 1st of July with Christmas in July breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning up at the Rupert City Park, right on the square. And they're going to have outstanding entertainment every day, July 1st all the way through July 5th of the Rupert 4th of July celebration, including on July 3rd, the Firecracker 500 lawnmower races at the fairgrounds. Woo! That's going to be ripping fun. Every year they really know how to put a smile on your face. And don't forget, too, the big family rodeo at the fairgrounds at 8 p.m. on the 4th of July. All of this and much, much more. Let Freedom Ring, Rupert's 4th of July celebration for 2014. It's going to be a dandy. We're going to have our next guest on the program in just a few minutes, but first and foremost, I want to remind you about Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley with their summer hours. They're open Mondays through Saturdays from 9 to 6, and they've got all your power equipment. They got lawnmowers over there. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yep, they do. No excuse to let that lawn get long. You take care of it with a lawnmower from Let's Ride. And all the Can-Am side-by-sides, oh, they've got some great deals. Rebates and great financing. And I want to brag a little bit this morning about the service department. Brad and the rest of the crew out there at the service department, they can fix anything. Absolutely the best. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Like I said, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Let's Ride, where definitely the fun is sold. Really, really good, folks. Oh, and don't forget, too, our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Now, I know a lot of you folks, you're probably saying, well, insurance? I don't want to talk about insurance. Well, wait a minute. Please stop for just a minute and think about this. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of those things are very, very important. Don't put it on the back burner. No. Call them today and say, hey, listen, I put it off. I shouldn't have. I've got to take care of it. Dean and Todd are very dedicated and responsive to your needs, and they will help you. The number to call, 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You give them a call today. All right, let's go to the phone lines right now, and I believe we have the lovely lady on the phone by the name of Kelly Fedoric with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Kelly, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, good. It's very, very nice to have you back on the program on behalf of the Alliance Defending Freedom. And you've got a couple of stories to talk to us about this morning. One, of course, is in regards to a man and a woman. Gee, what a novel concept, that being the only form of marriage. But it seems like one man, one woman is under attack more so than ever before in this country. Tell us what's going on with the Alliance Defending Freedom regarding the appeals court in the 3rd District. Give us a little story there, if you would, please.
Well, absolutely. In late May, a judge struck down the state's marriage laws, which was truly unfortunate because the definition of marriage should remain in the hands of the people. They are the ones who know marriage, and they live it in their day-to-day lives. And so it should be up to the people to define marriage. And as you mentioned, marriage is so important to have that union of one man and one woman, especially for children. Children deserve to have a mom and a dad in their life. And unfortunately, one federal judge struck down Pennsylvania's marriage laws. And so right now, Alliance Defending Freedom, we are representing a county clerk there in Pennsylvania, and have asked the Third Circuit to allow us to intervene on behalf of this clerk to continue to defend Pennsylvania's marriage laws as we move forward.
I do not understand how any judge, Kelly, help me on this. On what basis of thought or reasoning can a judge sit there and absolutely water down, weaken, and destroy marriage as it was meant to be? On what basis of thought are they using to destroy marriage in this country by opening it up to one all? One and all can be a part of it. I just don't understand. Explain that to me.
Well, it's a failure to really understand what the Supreme Court has said last summer in the Windsor decision. The Supreme Court made very clear that it is the state's right to define marriage, and that the Constitution does not require marriage to be redefined. And so in Pennsylvania, these are time-honored laws that have existed since Pennsylvania was, at its conception, and for good reason, because it is important that children do grow up with a mom and dad wherever possible. And so we are very hopeful that the Third Circuit will allow us to intervene because a public official like the Schuylkill County Clerk, whom we're representing, she is responsible for issuing marriage licenses. She's the right official to defend these laws when the governor and the attorney general have refused to do so. And it is important that the people's law is defended and that marriage continues to be defended.
When you have, and the figures may have changed, but I'm going to stay at the 80%, when you have 80% of the American public saying, no, marriage should stay between a man and a woman only, and then you have these laws being overturned, and you have families being just absolutely destroyed with these judges and their biased opinions, very liberal biased opinions, my goodness, doesn't the percentage that weighs in favor of keeping marriage the way it should be between a man and a woman? What happened to the majority rules anymore in this country, Kelly?
Well, you're right, and I think that it's important to realize that right now we're not really that worried about these judges' opinions. I mean, they're unfortunate and they're completely disregarding the people, but ultimately the Supreme Court is going to decide this issue, likely as early as next summer. And so at this point, it's important for people to continue to defend marriage and to talk about why it's important and to realize that states do have the right to define marriage. It should remain in the hands of the people, and no federal judge should snatch such an important decision from the hands of the people and their elected representatives.
Absolutely. The other story that we wanted to talk to Kelly about this morning is about a small Arizona church in Quartzsite, Arizona, and I've been there on occasion, that helps the homeless, and all of a sudden they got a huge tax bill. Tell us about that, if you would, please.
Well, what we saw was after an outpouring of support from Christians across the country, luckily this church won't have to shut its doors. It was unjustly taxed, and it was assessed a significant fee. And in order to continue its litigation, it was going to have to pay that fee to keep its doors open. And luckily, the Christian community responded and gave them the $68,000 they needed to remain open and to continue their ministry. I mean, this is a church that serves the homeless, and luckily they were supported so that they can continue this ministry to cover this illegal tax bill that it was given to avoid foreclosure.
Kelly, as much as you work with these various stories, and whether it's marriage or whether it's this Arizona church, whatever, are you firmly convinced, like I am, that in the last 5-6 years we've seen much more of an attack against Christianity in this country, and we have to remain ever vigilant to watch out what's going to be done daily?
We do, and it's important to remember that the free exercise clause of the First Amendment, our Constitution protects our ability to live out our faith in our day-to-day lives. doesn't limit us to just our house of worship or just, where we can only pray in our beds at night. No, our conscience informs every decision, whether we're at school or whether we're at work. Our faith inspires and informs our lives, and it is so important to who we are as Americans, and the Constitution protects that. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing an attack on people of faith who are simply trying to exercise their fundamental constitutional right.
How did this case get its notoriety and come before your desk, per se, as far as needing help from the Alliance Defending Freedom? I mean, how are people made aware to you that they need help in defending themselves so that they're not run out of business by the government?
Well, we work with a lot of pastors across the country, and we are essentially here to serve those. Our mission is to keep the doors open for the spread of the gospel, and we want to be able to offer our legal services to those who are being attacked and being punished for trying to live out their faith.
I really do appreciate all of your effort, and I think right now, if you could, tell my audience exactly how they can follow these cases and others with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and if you need some financial help, I'm certain that these people that are listening, make them aware of how they can contribute to the Alliance Defending Freedom.
Well, the best place to go is our website, which is simply alliancedefendingfreedom.org. And on our webpage, you can find out about the various cases that we are involved in, and our efforts that we are involved in, where we're working with people and defending the right of people to live out their faith in their day-to-day life.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kelly Fedoruk with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and we'll look forward to having you back on the program in the future. Thank you so much for your time and effort and all you do to help serve us here in this United States. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you much. I'm very honored to have these folks with the Alliance Defending Freedom be a part of my program every Monday, and all they do to help defend Christians across the United States. And so we'll keep you informed as to all the stories. There is an attack on Christianity. There is an attack on family values. There is an attack on marriage the way it should be. And I certainly will keep you informed of all the stories as they come up, and thanks to the Alliance Defending Freedom. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline, and I would love to hear from you. By the way, the Silver State Stampede, don't forget that's coming up July 10, 11, and 12. And we're going to be down there in Elko, Nevada at the Elko County Fairgrounds. It is going to be another ripping good rodeo, and they have won the award as the best rodeo in the Wilderness Circuit numerous times in Elko, Nevada. Now, the first night on the 10th, they're going to have their great big kickoff party. They're going to have an Old West bronc ride, and they've got all the different Western tradesmen coming in there for all the goods, all the beautiful Western handicraft. You're going to enjoy that. And then, of course, on the 11th and 12th, it's PRCA rodeo action, the Ring of Fear, and, of course, dancing till the cows come home. It's going to be a lot of fun. Elko County Fairgrounds, the great big Silver State Stampede down in Elko, Nevada, July 10, 11, and 12. Don't you miss it. Going to be really, really a lot of fun. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to ask you a question here in the time remaining for this half hour, and Deanne is diligently trying to get somebody lined up for my 10:06 half hour. We're not doing so well, are we? What about Bobby Jindal? What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with him or not that he said, quote, "I can sense right now a rebellion brewing"? amongst these United States, I'm giving a direct quote on this, where people are ready for a hostile takeover of Washington, D.C. to preserve the American dream for our children and our grandchildren. What are your thoughts about this? Those are pretty powerful words that he had mentioned this last Saturday, as a matter of fact, accusing President Barack Obama and other Democrats of waging wars against religious liberty and education, and said that a rebellion is brewing, possibly for a hostile takeover. When you use those words, hostile takeover, what do you think? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let me know about your thoughts on that. You know, if any radio talk show host or any newsman, anybody would have said and intimated a hostile takeover, you know what would have hit the fan. But here is a man that's the Louisiana governor, Bobby Jindal. He makes that quote, and he also is potentially thinking of running for the presidency. So give me your thoughts on that. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, we are ready for a hostile takeover, and one of the reasons it's going to be the escalating crime rate that we're about to experience in this country. There are a lot of police forces around here who are overwhelmed with the crime. And the unfortunate part is our system, our courts, have got a catch and release system. You get these people in court, they can't speak English, they have no driver's license, the courts are turning them loose.
Absolutely.
Following that kind of stuff.
You know, why is it, and you know, it's something, Tony, you're a generation ahead of me. I'm below you just by a matter of a few years, but the next generation down. We are afraid to call it like it is in this country anymore. I absolutely think that Americans are upset. I think that I've talked to people in Oklahoma, for instance, the state of Oklahoma. They are outraged as to what's happening back in Washington, D.C. I know many people that probably would be in favor of a hostile takeover of this government. They think that Obama absolutely is not doing the job. They think he is the worst president with the worst administration ever in the nation's history. And they're afraid for what's going to happen in the future to their kids and their grandkids, just as Bobby Jindal said from Louisiana. And I do not hold or harbor any animosity against these people for being upset. Do you?
Oh, absolutely not. But I think the big problem is people figure that they're going to find themselves out alone when they start making complaints, and they might be subject to lawsuits from ACLU and La Raza and all these other places if they start problems.
Well, somewhere along the line, like with the petition that I started last week, the petition does nothing more, probably, than make me feel better for trying to do something. But of the allegations that I listed on this petition, crimes against the U.S. Constitution, dereliction of duty as president, gross negligence to serve citizens of the United States, perpetrating lies and fraudulent actions, and displaying complete incompetence, every single one of those charges is true of this Obama administration.
Well, the big problem is catch and release. The courts are doing nothing. They're overwhelmed. They've got too many things on the dockets. So they're just turning them loose again. So they figure, hey, we can come into the United States and do anything we want.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I always appreciate you. You're one of the vocal people that I respect and appreciate on this program. Thank you so much, and say good morning to Mary, would you please?
I certainly will.
All right, thank you. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436. You know, speak up. Let your voices be heard, and I really do respect Bobby Jindal of Louisiana for what he had to say. And it's going to be interesting to see what this administration is going to do in a rebuttal form against his remarks on last Saturday. Time for the weather forecast, and the weather's brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. And as I mentioned to you last week, they're having an inventory clearance on most of their new firearms, and many are selling below cost. So check it out at Red's Trading Post. Guns, ammo, and accessories, and really knowledgeable people at Red's Trading Post. And that's 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Summertime, in case you're keeping score at home. That's good news, and sometimes not so good news. The good news is going to be sunny and hot, like a high of 87 today. The bad news is that we start to lose daylight, and we'll continue to do that until December 21st, and then we'll start to regain it back. Keep the score at home December 21st, first day of winter. Other than that, not a bad day in the Magic Valley to start out the work week. When you had solstice on Saturday, you folks down there had about 15 hours and change. Up here in Alaska, we had 21 hours, 49 minutes. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only way you got.
All right, give me a call. Like to hear from you. Red's Trading Post bringing us the weather, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Telephone number to call, 733-3546. The best of guns, ammo, and accessories. Your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We haven't had a chance to visit with Gina very much. What'd you do this weekend? Work on your car or what?
No, I actually did a whole bunch of yard work, and so I just worked around the house all weekend.
Deanne was absolutely out in the yard, planting flowers, cleaning flower beds. You and her are like twin sisters. She just loves and thrives getting out there and playing in the dirt.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. Let's see here. Finished planting the entire garden, so that's done and ready to go. Lawn is mowed. All of my flower beds have been pretty much weeded and fertilized, and yeah, the lawn is looking really, really good.
Does James help?
No, he's got two of his own that he has to take care of.
Aha. And what about Kennedy? Is he old enough to have some chores and doing some of the yard work?
We try, but I haven't trained him yet on how to be a good helper. Usually what he does is he'll follow behind me with his own toy lawnmower, and he'll mow the lawn with me.
Okay. I can just imagine how that looks.
Actually, it's a lot of fun, and so it's kind of a race, and so he'll race me along with his lawnmower, which is actually kind of cute.
I was mowing the lawn on, I think it was Saturday morning, was it Friday? Friday, I guess it was. Okay. And up pops a vole next to my fence line by the arena. There's a vole, and you should see the track and path of destruction that I left trying to chase him down. I put it in high gear and pushed my pedal to the metal, and I tried to get him. He avoided my blades at the very last second.
I can just see that. You did not wreck the lawnmower. You didn't put it in any ditch or anything, did you?
No, but you know, on mine, I got that sliding control, to increase the speed and everything. And I ran that puppy all the way up to the top, and you could just see me streaking across my arena. I was mowing the weeds down, and there went that vole. I had him in my sights, and he got away.
He was too quick for you, huh?
Deanne said, "What in the world were you trying to do?" And then I tried to explain that I saw this vole and he was fair game. I did my best to overcome him, but he was just too quick for me.
And I can see Deanne with her hands on her hips, staring at you and shaking her head.
I do. Every time that she's outside, I always say when she's going to work on one of her many thousands of flower beds, "Dear, may I be of assistance? How can I help?" And all of a sudden, it's like a Dracula movie. She makes the sign of the cross and says, "Back off, Jack. I don't want anything to do with that."
Well, number one, you could be mowing over something that doesn't need to be mowed. Number two, you would probably be picking a flower that you thought was a weed but really wasn't.
Well, she's got so doggone, man. What do you call that stuff? What do you call that stuff, Deanne? That what is it? Septum? Is that what it is? Septum? The little bushy weeds? Nobody's going to help me.
I have no idea.
Sedum. You know what that is? Yeah, I said septum. It's sedum. I think that's how you say it. She's in the other room.
She's like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this conversation. I do the lawn and the flower beds here at work, and one of my farmer friends, Farmer Ross, who's actually probably listening right now, apparently what I swore was going to be a flower turned out to be a weed, and so I had to go through and de-weed the entire place here.
Now, how did you get the job of taking care of all the flora and fauna over at the radio station?
I volunteered because I was tired of looking at dirt.
You know, God bless you. I mean, it's not as if you didn't have something else to do.
This is true. I always have something else to do, but, you know, it's nice to make the place look beautiful, and I was tired of looking at dirt, and we do have these very beautiful flower beds that hadn't had anything in them except for weeds for years and years, and so I've been doing it for the past few years.
Some of those look like they could have qualified as a jungle over in Nam or something. I was over there. The undergrowth.
Yes, and honestly, it's nice and cleaned up now, and it looks really good. And we've got a phone call.
All right, we'll take that phone call. Good morning. This is Gardening USA. How are you?
Good, Mr. Bell. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, my goodness. It's Uncle George. All the kids gather around the radio. Uncle George has got a tale to tell. Good morning, George.
Good morning. I was in talking to my family physician the other day, and he come up with an interesting scenario. He said, in our lifetime, we'll never be able to get all the crooks out of Washington. He says, let the Muslims take over and then run them out like we did the Brits.
Facetiously, I'm very afraid, George, as to what's happening in this country, and I'm very, very afraid as to what's incurred in this current administration with the Muslim Brotherhood involvement and some of the appointments that the Obama administration has made. You know, you fought for this country. You served your time in the military, and I don't think I'm off base at all in this petition to have Barack Obama impeached.
I agree, and just about 90% of the Congress and senators too.
Well, okay, we got to clean it up, and you just heard that some of the things that are going on in this country as far as, I never thought in my lifetime that we would have to stand up and defend marriage between a man and a woman, and once they make this laxity, once they create this so-and-so is married to so-and-so, I mean, pretty soon it's going to be legal where a guy can marry his dog, he can marry his horse, he can marry anything. Marriage as an institution is not going to be sanctified anymore. Would you agree?
I agree. You know, and that's just one of the many things that this administration has done that is basically illegal and unethical. It started from day one, and it's just escalated.
Hey, real quick, how are your sons and daughters of liberty? How are they doing?
Youth for Liberty, they are doing good. We're going to have a float in the parade this year. And also in the first weekend of August, we're going to have a big yard sale in Bury to raise money for their uniforms, what have you. But they're shining.
And by the way, a plug to one of our sponsors. I understand that Snyder Surplus, where we were at this last Monday for that grand opening, they've helped you quite a bit, haven't they?
They have. We've got Snyder Surplus is a major sponsor for the Youth for Liberty, and also Wyatt and the BFH motorcycle group. So we've got two good sponsors that we're keeping it rolling. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
All right.
Well, 16, 17 kids now.
Oh, my goodness sakes. And how big an area do you cover?
All of Mini-Cassia.
All of Mini-Cassia area. And you say you got about 16 or 17 kids?
Yeah. Yep, this is just our second year out of the chute. So the first year we had 5 and we tried it and got really good reception.
And, you know, real quick, George, I've only got a minute left, but the basic theme is respect for country, love of country, and respect of our Constitution, is it not?
Yes, that and the proper flag etiquette and proper care of the flag.
Thank you so much, George Mass. We appreciate you. And anytime you want to come back on and talk about that, feel free to do so, okay?
I sure will, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Dear friend right there, George Mass. Hey, don't forget 67th Anniversary Spectacular at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland and Burley. My goodness sakes. Right now, no money down, no interest. Oh, my. How can you beat that? And they've got complete rooms for sale. I'm not kidding you. I mean, like you just got a brand new home or you moved into a house and you're saying, wow, what are we going to put in here, Martha? Well, they've got it all for you. They've got complete rooms made simple. Check it out today at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland and Burley. Check out all the great carpet buys, all the mattress buys, everything for the beautification and the comfort of your home with people that really, really understand and know exactly what to do. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 67th Anniversary Spectacular at 459 Overland and Burley. Lee's Furniture, really nice people. All right, now, we are not going to have a guest right at 10:06. My guest this morning back in New York City called me and canceled, which left me kind of in the lurch. So we're going to have kind of an open forum. Now, I want you to call in at 10:06, and we'll discuss anything you want to talk about for the entirety of the half hour. And then at 10:30, we're going to have Brian Fairchild, former CIA operative, and we're going to be talking to him about what's going on with the CIA. So stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be right back. Okay, hour number 3, and as I mentioned, our guest for this half hour canceled out early this morning and kind of left us in the lurch for this time spot. So if you have anything that's a gripe or a complaint or whatever you want to broadcast, be sure and give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We'll get you on the air this half hour, I promise. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, which include Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and of course our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. Before I take some of your calls that I know are coming in, don't forget 436-2244. Give us a call. I want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Good eating. What have they got on the menu today? Their special is, and I hope I say this right, I know Gina will correct me if I say it wrong. It sounds delicious. Chicken paprikash over rice with vegetables and super salad, just $9.95. Ooh, that does sound good. At the Chadwick Sports Grill, all kinds of great things on the menu, along with really nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. All right, now, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Kind of a relaxed half hour. If you have anything that you'd like to throw in front of the audience and complain about, talk about, whatever, I'd certainly take your calls. I did notice, and I wanted to comment on this, that Mike Crapo and Jim Risch are offering legislation to stop the EPA water grab. And I did some research on some of the things they sent out over the weekend, and the senators say federal agencies' proposed burdens of the EPA would really hurt Idaho farmers and private landowners. And one thing that I wanted to read to you is this one paragraph. If made final, the move by the EPA would significantly expand federal authority, allowing the agency to regulate nearly every stream, every ditch, every pond, every puddle, and other local water bodies, both on state and local land, as well as, here's the catch-all, private property. Now, we saw what happened over in Wyoming to Andy Johnson as he dug a farm pond over there, and it was very well done. He went through Wyoming permits, got all the licenses and permits according to what they had said, but then all of a sudden the EPA got wind of his great big farm pond, which was nice for his own livestock, great for his own kids, stocked it with fish that he bought, and all of a sudden the EPA came in and said, you either take this down or we'll force you to pay $75,000 a day in fines. Well, the way that this EPA is worded, what are your thoughts? Every stream, every ditch, every pond, every puddle, and other local water bodies on even private property. What are your thoughts? You know, I'm almost of the volition, and I said this on the air a couple of days ago, that we all ought to go out and dig a little bit of a kind of a little puddle holder of water, and maybe a little fish pond, or maybe something to just a little bitty hole, fill it with water, and then float a boat in it or something, and then call the EPA or whatever and say, well, listen, are you going to come regulate this? This is asinine, the powers that the EPA is trying to inflict upon us. Every puddle, every pond, every ditch, and every stream. And thank goodness Senators Risch and Crapo are on top of this thing. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. During the break, I had a phone call, and a lady was saying that if the roles were reversed and we were Texas and we were Arizona, and we lived in a county that was right on the border, what would we do with all the kids that are coming in? What would we do financially to support all those children that are coming in here without parents or guardians? How would we get the money? What would we do? Are we, A, going to turn them away? Are we going to send them back home? Are we, B, going to try to raise the money and try to find them homes or try to create welfare assistance for them? What would you do if the roles were reversed and Idaho was on the border and it's our county, to where, like in Texas, 90,000 illegal alien children may be coming in? What would you do? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your calls on, that's a good question. What would we do? I'm going to tell you a little bit about, we have a segment on Thursdays called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by two wonderful businesses. First of all, A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. Everything for the babies and the toddlers, and they've got all the family games. They've got everything over there, all the strollers, the walkers, the blankets, the toys, everything at A Child's World. And don't forget, always, gift wrapping is free at A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, always check in with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. And if you're planning on having outpatient surgery, every procedure done there will save you money while getting and providing to you outstanding medical care right there at the Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley. Over 100 procedures are performed there each month. Call them at 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley, and A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, providing to you school days in Cassia County. Let's check with Gina and see what her thoughts are. Gina, what would you do, really, and how would you handle it if all of a sudden we were the county on the border and we had all these kids coming in? Let's take this call first. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I don't have an answer on that, but I'm sitting here wondering, isn't there a, I don't know what they call it, where all the governors meet once a year or something? Mm-hmm. How come all the governors of the 50 states aren't concerned about this problem with this influx of people into their states? Why are they not all supporting one another? And do they know about it? Do they not care? What? Even our own governor, I'd like to know what his thoughts are. So sometime when he calls in, maybe we could ask him.
You know what? You bring up.
The thing is, I've turned to not saying Barack Hussein Obama. It's now Barack Insane Obama. So don't hang up.
No, don't hang up. I want to ask you a question, first of all. You brought up an excellent point about the governors, and I don't know what Butch Otter's thoughts are in regards to what's happening, but how would you like to be the governor right now of Massachusetts, where literally they've taken planes at our expense, the taxpayer expense, and they've moved some of those children illegally over to another state and basically dropped them off? And what's to say they wouldn't do it here? I think you bring up a really good point that we should know what the answer is from Butch Otter and other governors as to how they're going to handle this.
Well, exactly. And if they don't have the foresight to see into the future and see what this is bringing us, they're not doing us any good. We need to replace them. But that is the problem with so many branches of our government right now. I don't know what's going on, and it's very frustrating to me too. And I'm retired now, but I still have a pension, and my taxes come out of that too every month. Well, so I guess I'm still concerned with that.
Let me ask you this question, and you say that you're retired. Well, I'm assuming that you're a mom and a grandmother. Is that right?
Oh, yeah,
great-grandma. I've had people call me and criticize me that are of the liberal left and say, oh, well, these are little children. We've just got to do all we can to feed them and clothe them and find them shelter and take care of them. Wait a minute. What in the world? Why are we being on the accepting end when the mothers and fathers, they committed, I think, a heinous crime, and turning those little 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds loose with coyotes to bring them thousands of miles to the American border and just basically drop them off? Those people should be arrested and thrown in prison for child abuse.
Well, I agree, Jeb. And the 4 or 5-year-olds, that's what my grades are right now, 4 and 6, and they can't find the cracker box across the kitchen room without Dee Dee telling them where it's at. I can't imagine sending them out into the world like that. Yes, parents should but we should just bundle them up and send them back home. We don't need it here. It's a whole different. Yeah, I don't want it to be a third world for my great-grandkids to
There you go.
In, and that's where it's heading.
Absolutely well stated. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you much. You got to draw a line in the sand. And, pretty soon, countries and populations of those countries are going to take every advantage they can of the wealth and the love and the caring that has been a trademark of the United States. But now, this is ridiculous. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, young man.
Yes, sir.
I would like to know, I am with you 100%. Get insane Obama out of there. However, would we be any better off with Joe Biden or John Kerry in there?
No, and Dal, I think that your point is well taken, and the only reason that I started that petition that I turned loose for everybody to sign last week at Lunch Bunch was to just show my complete displeasure with this administration. No, I don't think we're going to be any better off if Obama all of a sudden was impeached. No, I don't think we'd be any better off with Joe Biden naturally as president. But then as I look down the road, I think it's absolutely a joke, but nobody's laughing, about Hillary Clinton. I don't see the Republicans doing anything. Basically, Dal, I think politics in this country is absolutely at its lowest point. Nobody wants to do the best job for the people. They're all in it for themselves.
They're all in it for money.
That's right.
So
I agree with you. Thanks, Dal. Appreciate your call. God bless. Have a good day. The charges against Obama are so many right now, and the lying, the crimes against the U.S. Constitution, the dereliction of duty as president. And somebody asked me the other day, what do you mean dereliction of duty? Basically, where is the president, and what is he doing during times of crisis, during times of need, that we need him in the Oval Office? We need him to be there and basically quarterbacking the team, if you will, but he's at fundraisers, or he's looking to get out of the office and go play golf. I have no use for this man and his dereliction of duty. I think he's shown gross negligence to citizens of the United States. I think he has perpetrated lies and fraudulent actions to the citizens of the United States, and I think he is absolutely incompetent, whether it's neglect or if it's a planned attack on what he's doing. I just don't think this man is at all qualified to be the president of the United States of America. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your calls that I'm sure are coming in, I want to remind you there's a lot of great businesses over in the Rupert area that are going to be celebrating the Rupert 4th of July festivities. And a couple of those businesses are Haskin Insurance Service at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Now, these are really good folks, and they want to thank all their customers and tell them to have a happy and safe, sane 4th of July holiday. Now, during the celebration, please take a moment to reflect on what makes this country great and those who help make it so. And remember, if you're needing insurance, everybody does. Make sure and talk to the professionals, Haskin Insurance Service, and whether it's home, auto, farm, life, or health, please give them a call. Mike and Dawn and Terry are there to serve you with over 50 years combined service, and they've been located in downtown Rupert since the turn of the century. They'd love to hear from you. Haskin Insurance Service, your partner in insurance protection. Along with our friends at Dixon Oil, 602 2nd South in Rupert. Number to call, 436-6609. Dixon Oil has been in business since 1976, and they know how to give you and your vehicle the best service possible. They've got all the fuels, they've got all the oils, and believe me, Daryl and the crew at Dixon Oil wish you a very happy and safe, sane 4th of July. And don't forget to stop in. Dixon Oil in Rupert. Thank you very much. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Gina, you used to be a liberal, but now kind of leaning towards conservative values. As a mom, Kennedy's only 7 years of age. What do we do with these kids? I mean, what is the best approach? They're going to keep on coming, and their parents and their grandparents stick them on a bus. They're coming thousands of miles. What are we going to do with them?
I don't know. First and foremost, as a parent, why would you want to stick your child on a bus to send them to someplace and not have them with you? I don't get that entire concept of why you would just let your 7-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 13-year-old just go to a new country.
Well, yeah, stop right there. Kennedy is 7 years of age.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I can't imagine, and I know you well enough for all the years we worked together, and I know you're a very, very strong-minded parent that always you have his welfare in mind. You're not about to stick a little 7-year-old on a bus or with a coyote that's going to run illegals up to the border and let them go with somebody strange for over 1,000 miles and not know whether they're going to be fed, not know whether they're going to be cared for, not know how their safety is going to be provided for.
Exactly.
Holy cow, how do you do that?
I don't know. It would absolutely drive me insane. So for that aspect, I don't understand how the parents can do that. Now, what are we going to do with the kids that are here now? I think the best thing is that they need to go back home to their parents. You send them back home to their parents. Period.
Okay, now, Maya, I have a dumb question for you. I have a very, very dumb question for you. How do you know who they are or what they represent? Do they have identification in their pockets? Did their parents give a number of concern that they can be called back on? I'm looking at this situation, and from what I've gathered from people that are working on the border, we have kids there from ranging in ages like 4, 5, 6, and 7. They don't know who they are. They have absolutely no idea who their parents are. What do you do?
That's, and that's the great question. I don't know what to do in that aspect. But as a parent, like I said, I would not let my child go. I mean, absolutely not. So this is a crisis of massive concern. Number one, these kids are homeless. They have no place to go. They have no parental supervision. And then these parents are just letting them into the country, hoping that somebody, some good Samaritan, is going to take care of them until their parents can come here. That is so wrong on so many levels. And we've got a phone call.
Well, I think you're spot on in your thoughts, but I mean, my goodness sakes, you're looking at some of these little kids that are sitting there playing with toys and
they don't know what's going on. 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old kids, they don't know what's going on.
And you know who really is at fault is this? I'm going to point my finger right due east at Washington, D.C., and put the criticism right on the Obama administration for a lack of regulatory concerns about our border. This would have never happened. These kids would not be pawns in an immigration reform had our government bellied up to the bar and taken care of the laws on immigration as they should be.
Amen.
All right.
You're not going to get a complaint out of me.
We'll take a call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Craig coming up, driving through Burley.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead, sir, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to know which governor. I would think Rick Perry would be going to court, getting a court order demanding that the federal government start enforcing the border. We had both Janet Napolitano and Obama give press conferences standing there saying the borders are secure. They have drug mules for people coming in that they escort in with automatic weapons crossing the border into America. These kids, if nothing else, should be put on buses taken back to the border crossing and let walk back into Mexico, and we can give them a happy meal to head south.
Let me ask you a question. I hope you can hear me because you bring up a really good point. But now here's the situation. Our government, via our tax dollars that you and I are paying for, they've already loaded on planes many of these kids and flown them as far into the Northeast as Massachusetts. Now, they've dropped these kids off. They've said, Massachusetts, you take care of them. How then are they going to get word to their parents and say your kid is in Boston, your kid is in wherever, and then the parents come up here? It's a catch-22. We're going to be paying through the nose as taxpayers for the reuniting of the parents and their kids.
You're exactly right. It's insanity what's going on. Flying, the cost of the airfares, you add everything together. The government is totally wasting billions and trillions of our dollars. FEMA bought, as late as 2011 and later, bought mobile homes, and they now have put them on they've auctioned them off. The next hurricane, they're going to have to buy more again. And there's no recourse. They haven't taken any recourse for the damage done to a lot of the FEMA travel trailers and mobile homes people stayed in previous events.
Absolutely.
That's just some of the examples. This is just stupidifying. It's insanity.
It is, and I really, God bless you for your call this morning. Thank you so much. Drive with care. Thank you so much.
Take care.
The man brought up some good points, but Gina, I want to ask you before we go to the break. Here we have a situation where it's almost the most inhumane thing I've ever heard of, because these little kids, without any parental or family supervision, now they're being moved completely from Texas and 15 to 2,000 miles up into Massachusetts. How is word going to get back to grandma or grandpa or the mom and dads that their child is over here? This is a horrendous story of how these parents are going to reunite with their families.
I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is, number one, this equates to parental neglect and child abuse. That's the way I can.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? And the American taxpayer is being dumbed down into thinking the government is the know-everything on this situation, and they're robbing us of our tax dollars to support these kids and eventually maybe even their parents coming into this country. We are being duped into an immigration reform program, which is nothing more than forced amnesty, and they're going to come ahead as voters possibly in the next election for this administration.
Well, I agree, and basically the way I see this whole situation is that what they're trying to do is they're trying to play on the heartstrings of Americans by sending their children over first, because they know that, well, we are going to take care of the kids, because the kids are just kind of the ones caught in the middle. But I don't think this is right by any means, and I think that honestly that the administration is trying to play upon the heartstrings of Americans to get this to pass.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
We've got another phone call.
All right, quick call. I've only got a minute left before the hard break. Go ahead, please.
I think it was all planned by the administration. I really do. They send some people down there to ask families and send us your kids, and we'll make sure you find them. And sooner or later, we're going to force immigration, and that's how we're going to do it. Send us your kids and send them up there. I really think they did it on purpose.
I can't argue with your point. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the most unsubtle things that this administration has done. Thank you very much. I appreciate your call. God bless. Want to remind you about Harris Plumbing NG. Nathan Harris, I am absolutely an advocate of this man's business. For all your plumbing service needs, call them at 431-8633. One call, that's all. Excellent service, and I mean that. Very reliable, responsible, and professional. The job is done right, efficiently, and respectfully, and I am impressed. Harris Plumbing NG. For all your plumbing service needs, you call them at 431-8633, and you tell them Zeb sent you. We're going to take a little break for a couple of minutes and be back with Brian Fairchild. Don't you miss it. Very interesting segment coming up in about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Last half hour, Zeb at the Ranch. And don't forget the Drift Inn at 545 F Street in Rupert. The weather warming up and the patio at the Drift Inn is open. Don't forget they have wonderful, wonderful food, great music, and every Thursday is considered barbecue night featuring ribs and pulled pork or salmon. It is delicious. The Drift Inn on the square in Rupert, a great place to relax and enjoy summer right here in the Magic Valley. I get a chance right now to go to the phone lines, and there's a gentleman that has been on my program before, and he has been, of course, involved with service to this great country, the United States of America. He's home now, and we're looking forward to visiting with him and catching up on exactly all he's been doing and what he's doing now. And I say good morning to Brian Fairchild. Brian, good to have you back in the States. Thank God you're home safe.
Well, thank you, Zeb. It's great to be back, and it's great to be back in touch with you, brother.
Well, I can't tell you. My wife and I followed you on email for quite some time, and then when you were overseas, we had to lose track of you for a while. Bring us up to speed and tell my audience a little kind of a recapitulation of what you've done and what you're doing now.
Okay, Ken, let me just check on the sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're coming through fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I was a Central Intelligence Agency clandestine service officer for 20 years and, worked running clandestine, recruiting spies overseas, for 20 years. Left in 95 and, created my own business. When 9/11 happened, one of my partners and I started going around and training the FBI, the CIA, about 10,000 police officers about Islamism, terrorism, Al-Qaeda, the ideology, that sort of thing. And around 2010, the Obama administration decided that it wasn't a good thing to talk about Islam or any aspect of Islam and terrorism in the same breath, so they basically cut off the funding and we couldn't do the training anymore. So then in July of 2011, I got contacted and some folks wanted me to go to Afghanistan and mentor Afghan intelligence officers, so I did that for a year and a half and got back, roughly about a year ago, went through some different medical things, and now I'm back at it, boxing 4 times a week and talking to you on the radio.
All right, Brian, I'm going to ask some questions here that if you can't answer these or certain aspects of these questions, feel free to just say no comment. But I interpreted from what you just said that you have more than just a little disdain for this administration, especially Barack Obama, as president. And as a citizen of this country, I'm very concerned for my family's welfare and for the future because I have the feeling that this administration either is very inept, very amateur, or they don't care, or there's another ulterior motive. Of the 3 areas that I mentioned, where are we right now in protecting the United States of America?
Well, Zeb, it's not a good situation. I mean, as anybody who watches the news can tell, we don't have any kind of a commonsensical foreign policy. There's no grand strategy. There's no strategy whatsoever, as far as I can tell. I think I would agree with a number of points on the administration. I think that on one hand, they're amateurs and incompetent. On the other hand, the president, I believe, has an ideological predisposition to who he might call the oppressed, and we might call, terrorists or terrorist enablers like the Muslim Brotherhood. And to make it worse, and sort of what I wanted to talk to you and your listeners about today is the fact that there's nobody out there anymore that can keep the administration honest, because CIA isn't doing the job it was chartered to do. CIA was chartered in 1947 by the National Security Act of 1947 to be the premier civilian strategic, and I want to emphasize that word, strategic intelligence agency for the United States government. The only organization designated to be the strategic intelligence agency. The military was doing the tactical stuff, and CIA was doing the strategic stuff. But no longer does CIA do the strategic stuff. So, and there are many reasons for that, but because they're not, there's no more deep understanding of the world, its cultures, its politics, its regions, and we're reacting to everything that happens, and that's always a bad thing in foreign policy.
Well, let me interrupt you right there and ask this question then. I mean, the Central Intelligence Agency, one of the premier and very well-respected agencies for the United States and for security of the world, who watered it down? Where did it start? Who decided to basically turn it into a dog with no teeth? Where did all this start?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it goes back to like 1991. I left the agency in 1995, so I saw this transition. And in 1991, we had the fall of the Soviet Union. Well, the Soviet Union was the agency's primary mission. I mean, all of our stations and bases were set up around the world basically to counter Soviet influence and the client states of the Soviet Union. When they fell from power in 1991, all of a sudden the CIA found itself without a mission. And people in Washington, said at the time, well, we've won the Cold War. It's time to cash in the peace dividend. And, of course, there were plenty of things that the CIA could have turned its attention to, and, but no policymaker gave guidance. The agency came up with a plan. Politicians looked at it and said, yeah, you guys, you're doing okay. You can just surge whenever we have some kind of a problem around the world now and take care of it, and, don't worry about it. So for a decade, and I mean, this is really a sad story, Zeb, but, for a decade, the agency was adrift, with no mission, no budget. Former CIA Director George Tenet at the time said, the CIA was in Chapter 11. And then, lo and behold, what comes along is 9/11. And with the 9/11 attacks, the CIA found its new mission. And all of a sudden, it went from being the premier strategic intelligence agency, meaning that they tried to understand the world. What's going on in the world? What are the regions doing? What are these key strategic countries doing? What are the politics in those countries? What is the culture in those countries? How many of our folks speak those languages? We were in all those countries. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, we shut down stations and bases. We had to downsize all the remaining stations and bases, and there was no budget to be doing recruiting spies overseas. So when 9/11 happened, we were in Chapter 11. And George Tenet decided, with the extremely powerful presidential authorities that Bush gave the agency after the 9/11 attacks, and huge budgets, that George Tenet decided to use those resources not to recreate the strategic CIA that we needed so badly, but to morph it into a paramilitary one-trick pony. Counterterrorism is all CIA does now. I mean, if you want to know what's going on in Russia, don't ask them. If you want to know what's going on in China, don't ask them. If you want to know tactically what this particular Al-Qaeda cell is doing and who it's made up of, and you want to have a drone, go and target that particular cell, they can do it. But they don't understand the world anymore. They don't have languages anymore. They don't have cultural understanding anymore.
Yeah, but
from your point of view.
Brian, we had a little trouble there with the connection all of a sudden on about 10 seconds worth of your verbiage, so I'm going to jump in here and ask a question. It sounds to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you're painting a picture of not only ineptness, but a false sense of security that the United States people believe they have, and we don't have. Who really is watching the hen house? Who really is protecting us, if anybody?
Well, no, that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to get across, is that nobody, from a strategic point of view, is watching the hen house. Nobody really truly has a deep knowledge and understanding of the world, because CIA was that organization. That's the organization that was chartered to do that. And now it's just become another special paramilitary unit with a bunch of guys that deal with liaison services around the world, get liaison services to ante up the men, and we'll support them with weapons and that sort of thing, and we'll go out and kill terrorists. But nobody really understands the world anymore, and there's no strategic concepts of what we ought to be doing.
When you look at this situation right now, and you're looking at it with hindsight as far as your past service to our great country, and also the foresight as to what might happen in the future, as now Mr. Joe, normal citizen, how concerned are you as to where we are in the world standing as far as our safety and security?
Oh, I mean, we're I'm trying to use the appropriate language for your lady, for your listeners, but we're messed up. I mean, we are badly off in the world today. We have very poor standing in the world. People don't respect us. People don't fear us, and people think that our leadership is clownish. And I mean, if you just look briefly, just in the last decade or so, and just in the Middle East, we've been caught by surprise by about everything that has happened in the Middle East. First of all, we didn't see the 9/11 attacks coming. Then we were completely, the CIA, when I say we, I still refer to myself as an agency guy, but in 2003, the agency got the analysis of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction completely wrong, and based a lot of its intelligence assessments on one guy, a German source that was codenamed Curveball, who was a complete fabricator. He lied about everything that he was giving the agency. We were in Iraq we occupied the country for 8 years. We had 2 wars with that country, and look at what's going on in Iraq today. We completely missed the Arab Spring uprising. We completely missed the Syrian war. We led from behind. The administration led from behind, and CIA wasn't able to fully inform the administration of what was going on in Libya, and now Libya is a failed state. And it goes on, and then we backed the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. Wrong thing to do. And so, just that short list, and just in the Middle East, shows how badly we understand the world and the key strategic countries in it. So it's a very bad situation, and I know Middle Eastern leaders think that we're a bunch of pikers. I mean, what are you guys doing? Mm-hmm. How can you have done this? Why have you done this to me now? That sort of thing.
Brian, with your expertise and your way to kind of decipher what's going on and who's at fault, etc., and I'm going to be very blunt, I have never cared for the ideology of this man, Barack Obama. I don't care for any part of his administration. I don't find them trustworthy. That being said, we've seen the introduction of the Muslim Brotherhood with inductees into this administration, working for this administration. Is it a naivete or is it a planned approach? What do you think is really happening?
Well, as far as I can tell, I can't answer that question in any kind of definitive way. My belief is that the president and his team are very amateurish and naive about the world. I think that the president, coming from his civil rights background, probably has an ideological predisposition to those people that he considers, to be oppressed. And maybe that's one of the reasons that he looked at the Muslim Brotherhood with any kind of a supportive eye. But I can tell you this, and this might be a surprise to your listeners, that in 2010, the president issued what they call a PSD, a Presidential Study Directive. And in that Presidential Study Directive, he called for a study of the Muslim Brotherhood, and based on this study, he decided that the policy of the United States government would be to support the Muslim Brotherhood in Tunisia and Egypt and Libya and around the Middle East against the established stable regimes that we were supporting, like Hosni Mubarak for 30 years in Egypt. So that was an actual policy decision that was based on a study that he had done. Now, that study is now being declassified through a Freedom of Information Act request, and it is shown, the study is shown to be very naive and amateurish. So that's another reason why it's very bad that you don't have the CIA being a strategic powerhouse anymore, because the CIA could have kept him honest. He could have come out with these Presidential Study Directive findings, and the CIA could have said, whoa, no, that's not the way it is. Well, you might want it to be that way, but our assessment is that it's not that way. Here are the facts as we see them. But there's nobody there to call him on any of these policies anymore, because CIA is no longer a strategic intelligence agency.
Brian, the thing I'm worried about is that our senators and our congressmen, what are they doing? Why are they not informed? Why are they not asking questions about this situation? Why are they not questioning the lack of the CIA intelligence? Why are they not doing their job? Are they just back there as pawns and as shills, or are these people duped into not even asking about what's going on?
Yeah, I think that there are different levels to the answer to that question. Some congressmen and some senators have been engaged and have tried to reform CIA. Let me just give you one example. There was a guy, and I don't know if you remember him. He was the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, and his name was Porter Goss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Congressman Goss had been a CIA officer for a decade earlier in his career. He ran for Congress. He got elected. He stayed in Congress for most of his adult life. He became chairman of the Oversight Committee, and then he was named to be the director of CIA in 2004. No, I thought it was a little early. I think it was 2003, 2004. Well, Porter Goss had been watching the degradation of the strategic capabilities of the CIA for years and complaining about it. When he got in, he looked around, he did his review, and then he had a meeting for all CIA officers. And he's talking to the clandestine service corps. So all of your listeners probably believe, well, these clandestine service guys, they were overseas, they lived overseas, they spoke languages, they understood the cultures, they were doing all that sneaky Pete spy stuff over there. That wasn't true. The majority of all the clandestine service officers by 2005 were living in the United States, and they were grudgingly going overseas for 1 month or 2 months TDYs just to get their tickets punched, to say, oh, I've been overseas, I know something about the world. And so Porter Goss was put into the embarrassing position as the director of the CIA to have to tell his clandestine service officers, you guys have to live overseas. Excuse me. You guys have to live overseas. You have to understand foreign languages. You have to understand foreign cultures. You can't do this job without doing that. You can't surge from Washington, D.C., get into a country, flip the U.S. passport out, and automatically have relationships built and spies giving you information. It doesn't work that way. So there's an example of one congressman that actually tried. Now, what happened to him was that CIA gave him great pushback, because by then they were firmly ensconced in this new way of doing business. They didn't want to go back to the old ways. So he resigned his commission a year and a half after becoming director of CIA. Other congressmen and senators go along to get along. They basically, hold hearings here and there, say, oh, you guys ought to do this, or you guys ought to do that, or I'm approving your budget, and that's about as far as it goes, Ed.
Brian, I'm almost out of time, but I want to mention that you are writing a book and you also have a blog, and I want to give you ample time. I've got about a minute and a half left here. Tell us a little bit about the blog and the book so that we can keep in touch with you and you can provide us with information so that my listeners can make sure they find out about your book. Go ahead.
Well, let me just tell you briefly about the blog. The blog is called Blind Eagle. It's the address, the internet address is www.blindeagle.info, not .com, but .info, I-N-F-O. And what I'm doing is on that blog, all of the articles that I've written for the last 4 years and so are on that blog. And I'm writing new articles. The subject that we're talking about right now, I've written articles on that blog. So if any of your listeners really want to get down in the weeds a little more, they can go to the blog and see these articles.
Okay.
But I got to warn them and warn you that these aren't just little pithy news articles. I mean, they're kind of research papers, and they're well documented. They're footnoted. I use primary sources. I refer frequently to declassified top secret reports from CIA and Congress and that sort of thing. So if they really want to get a good in-depth understanding of what's going on, this is one of the places to go.
I just want to...
The book is about this topic. The book is actually called Blind Eagle, and it's about CIA's decline and the dangerous loss of CIA's strategic capability. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on that. I'm putting these articles on the blog, and that's pretty much where I am right now.
All right. I want to just say, Brian, I'm out of time, but God bless you, and I'm going to be calling you after the program, if not today, tomorrow, and reset another time so that we can highlight more of what's on the blogs, etc. Brian Fairchild, God bless, and please know that I'll be in touch as soon as I can.
Okay, thanks, Deb.
Take care. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, former CIA operative Brian Fairchild, and I'm going to have him back. We didn't have nearly enough time this morning, and I'm going to have him back in the next couple of days to discuss more of his book and his blog. Time for the weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Here's MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hey, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's summertime, in case you're keeping score at home. That's good news, and sometimes not so good news. The good news is going to be sunny and hot, like a high of 87 today. The bad news is that we start to lose daylight, and we'll continue to do that until December 21st, and then we'll start to regain it back. Keep the score at home December 21st, first day of winter. Other than that, not a bad day in the Magic Valley to start out the work week. When you had solstice on Saturday, you folks down there had about 15 hours and change. Up here in Alaska, we had 21 hours, 49 minutes. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only way you go.
I'll tell you what, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, bringing you Michael Rogers weather for this hour. Don't forget to call and order a marinated tri-tip for any occasion. Oh, that family picnic would be delicious, thanks to Scarrows Meats. Selling taste one bite at a time, 324-7657. Our thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and serving is the key word. Don't forget all the tires for all your driving needs on all your vehicles with free lifetime tire and mileage care and free peace of mind tire protection. Easy credit plans, 4 different plans available for you, along with the best in brake service, shocks and struts, front end alignments, and of course the best in batteries. Oh my goodness, it's all there for you. All 7 locations serving you: Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thanks go to Gina over at our main studios, Deanne here at the house, and we're going to be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Ride the horse for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch, and again, my thanks to Brian Fairchild. We're going to be having him back on the air in the next couple of days to talk more about the CIA. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, the way things were or the way things ought to be, we'll see you then.